This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Okay, I wasn't actually planning this video at all today, but I picked up, just when I had a few minutes spare, this Sire L7 Larry Carlton. This one I bought from Anderton's quite early on. I bought the white S7, which now lives in Spain with John, and I was really impressed with it. I didn't have a Les Paul type guitar, I don't think, at the time. I thought, let's give this a go, let's see if it can, lightning can strike twice, as Larry might have called an album. And yeah, I picked this up today and I was just thinking, like, what was my memory of this like? And I did a take and I kind of thought, wow, that's really easy to play. That feels really good to play. The neck feels great in hand. I'm loving the satin finish of the neck. Ergonomically, I'm really liking it. It's staying in tune. The frets feel pretty good to me. It just feels about right. The fretboard is nice and dark because it's ebony. So that was kind of my thoughts. And I thought, well, actually, let's just go and grab my Gibson Les Paul out of the cupboard, because this, actually, I have a bit of a kind of, not hate, but love something relationship with. Sometimes I picked it up and gone, wow, that's really great. I'm really enjoying that. But a lot of times I just don't really bond with it particularly. Like, it's heavier, probably about a pound heavier. Frets have much less life in them. I don't think it holds its tune quite as well. I think it looks way better, frankly. But also the access up here is not as good. And this was something that quite early on, a few people kind of popped up in the comments when I was trying a couple of Les Pauls and thinking about grabbing one. And there's a story with this one, which I've told before. But essentially, I kind of, I guess, started thinking about having an actual thing with Gibson on the headstock, and kind of forgot about the Sire that I already had. And looking back, I could be totally satisfied with that Sire, and I think actually sitting down and playing it, I may even prefer the Sire. This has Monty's underspun paths in it, and it's got 50s wiring, so sitting on the treble pickup most of the time, it's a pretty nice sounding guitar. But intonation wise, maybe I don't think it's quite as stable as the Larry Carlton either. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one where I wasn't necessarily planning it, but this did see a PRS DGT off that I didn't really love either. So some cool things about it, but in general, aside from the looks, I think I pretty much prefer almost everything about the Sire, and it just plays really fantastically well. I'm not someone who's looking for super low action or anything, so this is over 1.5 mil, but about that. And since I'm not looking for super low action, one of the things that you probably see when you read up sort of about QC issues with the Sire stuff is that the frets might be a little bit flat, not necessarily perfectly crowned and stuff like that from the factory. So if you're looking for that, then that's something to be aware of. But I think you could factor in a setup into the cost of these if you were kind of thinking about that. And maybe, even for me as it is, I still feel like this comes out playing, for me, quite a lot more comfortable than the Les Paul. I'm not sure, with the direction that Sire is going at the moment, it looks like they're now building all sorts of guitars like Jazzmasters, hollow stuff, and sort of scaling things up. So I'm not sure that the latest stuff is of the same quality as the old stuff. Leave some comments below if you've recognised that or had experiences. I think with any company, though, like for instance Gibson are not free from QC issues. Sire are definitely not, and are probably building in a greater quantity. So definitely worth, using some of your consumer rights if you get one that you think doesn't really work for you, and feel free to return it and try a different one. So yeah, as I said, definitely wasn't planning on this being sort of a comparison video, but I was just playing them. I thought I need to just remind myself of what the Gibson feels like. As I say, the Gibson kind of nitro stuff, obviously the Sire's a poly finish, but they've got a really lovely satin neck that feels great in the hand. The Gibson nitro stuff kind of can sometimes feel a bit sticky to me. I don't know what it is that is a factor in that, but climate, all those things can affect it. As I say, I don't think aesthetically it's the sort of thing that's going to blow you away compared to like a Gibson. Like even a modern Gibson, I think probably is going to be finished in general better. The fretwork, again, I think is going to be slightly hit and miss, potentially. But when they do get it right, to me, I think the Sire stuff just is really, really solid. I've said before, I think one area that is slightly weaker as well was kind of the nuts, which end up in some cases looking a little bit high compared to like a high-end nut. But in general, the thing is just working great as a guitar, and I think it's a great option for folks. I'm not affiliated with Sire. Andertons did send me a couple, and Sire have sent me a couple. But this one here is one that I bought. I bought a bunch of them, and have been upfront about things that I found to be lacking, and did videos about sort of the treble bleed, which I thought had a weird taper, and also I felt like the fret crowning had got a little bit out of hand, so I did send an email to them and just said, I feel like you're kind of over crowning some of these frets, not crowning, but the bevel, because they do this kind of rolled fret edges. I kind of said this is like too much because you're getting some slippage off the side. I think they might have listened to that, hopefully, but what they are doing, I think, when they get it right, is a fantastic package. I haven't played any of the newer stuff. Worth considering. I think I could have saved my money with the Gibson and just stuck with this and basically got most of the experience. Decent sounding, decent playing, and definitely playability wise, I think I prefer this to the Gibson. This is a 2002 Les Paul Standard. Not a bad guitar by any means, it's just I feel like the Sire definitely holds up. I've not felt exactly the same about some of the other stuff, so I think like the S7, you could compare to like a Mexican Player or PRS Silver Sky SE, probably. And likewise with the Sire T3 and T5 and T7, whatever they're called. And also the ES335 styles. I think if you've got a really nice Tokai, for example, I think that kind of, for me, trumps the Sire. And also the actual Gibson hollow bodies that I've played are like maybe like $3,000 as well. I think that they end up being a bit lighter than the Sire and, a bit more resonant in the hollow body realm. But for the Les Paul, actually, this is lighter than most of the Gibsons that I've played. Plays better, and I think actually the specs are a bit more me, with a better kind of neck access thing going on, and the neck shape itself is not quite like 60s and it's not quite like 50s, somewhere in between. Really comfortable feeling guitar for me. If you've had experience with Sires, let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers.